Hello again. So in last lectures we have seen different programming terminologies and jargons which are usually used in the programming. So today we are going to discuss another very important concept, and that is related to the iterations. What is basically the iteration? Iteration is basically something which has been carried out repeatedly. Okay, so let us start our discussion with the same example which we had recently considered. So similarly, a person went to the shopkeeper and asked him to give him 6 apples. So what would he do? He will basically put each and every apple separately and keep it in the box and count the number of apples unless and until he will put 6 number of apples in the box. Okay, so what is basically going on using the flow chart? For this problem, what we will have to do, first of all, we will have to start it. So that is the start. Okay, what will happen after it? The shopkeeper has to use some counter, okay, inside his mind, and initially he will put it into 0. Similarly, after it, what will he do? He will get a basket. Okay, he will get a basket which is empty. Okay, so let me write it empty here. Okay, so that the basket here is the empty, and initially what would he do? He will check whether the basket is empty or not. Okay, so he will check the number of the apples inside the basket, or to count the number of apples he will use this count equal to 0 as the counter to check the number of apples here. So if the count is not equal to 0, okay, not equal, basically last time what we have seen, we used to see this as the equality operator. Okay, so the non-equality operator here should be like this, but in computer programming or in the keyboard we don't have anything like this. Okay, we don't have it. So in order to replicate it, what we used to do, we use the exclamation mark, and with it I use the this assignment operator. So this will give me the inequality operator. Okay, so that is now the inequality operator. So in order to see it here, what would I do? If the count is not equal to 6, what should I do? I should pick an apple. Okay, in the basket I have to keep an apple. This is the apple. Okay, so in the basket I have to put the apple, and simultaneously I have to make this count increased by 1. So count equal to count plus 1 will be here. Okay, so that will be the case, and after it, what I have to do here, here I have to check if this is not equal to 6, so that is yes here, and here this is no. Okay, so two possibilities are here. If this is not equal to 6, what I have to do, I have to, or the shopkeeper has to take another apple and put it inside the box, and then after it he will increase the number count here, and after it, when he will increase, what would he do? He will again go and see, okay, whether the number of count is equal to 6 or not. If it is again not equal to 6, he will come again and repeat the same procedure here. Similarly, at the time when the number of apples will be equal to 6, what will happen? He will come here and hand over the box. Okay, what will happen, he will hand over the box and this process will come here and it will ultimately comes to an end. Okay, so basically this is my flow chart, and in this flow chart I have shown that initially I have to start something, then count it. After counting it, I have to put it in the basket, and then I have to check something, and if this check is not according to some condition, I have to repeat the process. So this process is basically, what is this? This thing is called a loop. Okay, so inside the Python I have two types of loops. Basically I have a while loop and I have a for loop. These are basically the two types of loops. What are the usages of these two kinds of loops? Usually I use this while loop for the situations where there is some condition is associated with the loop. While when for loop is used, there is no condition here. Okay, but the ultimate goal is only the repetition. Okay, in while loop the repetition will also be one of the goals, but it will be according to some conditions. But here in for loop, no conditions will be linked with the repetitions, and it will solely be used for the repetitions in our program. Okay, so that is the reason that two loops are used. So here, as we have some condition associated with this problem, so it is very feasible for us to use the while loop here. Okay, so let me use this with the programming mindset. Okay, so in programming mindset, what I have to do, so let me check it and show you some important terminologies here, so that how can we do it. Okay, so here the first thing is that I have to use a basket. So for using the basket here, okay, so basket is something which will be composed of many locations, and it can contain many elements here. So anything which can contain many elements will be like this one. Okay, so that is basically the basket here, and in Python, a basket which can contain many elements can be represented by using a list. Okay, so list is basically the collection of items, Okay, so in list we can collect different items and place them together, so that many other items can also be placed inside the list. Okay, so if the list is not composed of the changeable number of elements or mutable number of elements, so that would be the tuple. So just keep it in your mind that a list can contain the many number of elements as you want, but tuple is something which the number of elements will be fixed in the tuple. Okay, so that is it. So basically basket here will be the list. So in using the list, what I can do here and what I will do there is basically basket will be the empty. So in order to represent any empty basket here, I will use it like this one. Okay, so any list can be represented by this, in which the elements will be separated out by using these commas. So as many elements as you want can be written here inside this list here. Okay, so that's it. Similarly, in count, I can show you that there is an inequality operator which can be represented like this one. Okay, so it is not a big deal here. Similarly, another thing which is very worth mentioning here, and that is that you will ask me that how would I put an element inside the basket. So if the basket has something, so once I will put something in it, like basket is assigned with an apple here. So apple is, let's say this apple is a string here. That is not a number. So what is basically the string? So basically we have 2 or 3 types of data types. The first one is the numeric data types. So on numeric data types, I can have integers and floats. In integers, I will have numbers like 6, 7, 100, 1000, etc. Like in float, what would we have? We will have 6.2, 7.8, 1000.789, 0.0007, and so on. These are basically the floats. Similarly, the non-numeric types of data will be composed of the characters. Okay, so what are the characters? Characters are basically like A, B, up to Z, or the capital letters as well. Okay. Similarly, the collection of characters is called a string. Okay, so here we can very easily see that the apple is basically composed of these 5 characters, which are A, P, L, and E. So that is the string. Okay, so these are the data types which I have previously described. Like these are something which basically depends upon the nature of the data which you put inside. Something such like integer has some different nature as that of the float. Similarly, character data type has a different nature as that of the numeric data type, and similarly strings are different as that of the numeric and characters as well. Okay, there is also another type of the data as well, and that is the bool data type. So bool types are basically of 2 types. One is the true, the other one is false. Okay, so that is another type of data. So wherever possible, I will also describe them with much more detail, that what is the size of these data types and where can you use them for your own convenience. Okay, so that is all about the data types, and that is all about it. So similarly, when you put an apple in the basket, how could you put it inside the basket? So there is a method inside a Python that is called the append. Okay, so what would it do? It will basically place or put an element inside the list. Okay, so the already available list will be increased by size by putting another type of or another element inside the list here. Okay, so that is all about the theoretical concepts which are related with the loop here. So I will use here the while loop, and that are all the concepts which are related with